feel something, say something to your group. Maybe they can validate it. Maybe they're having the same experience. Maybe they can debunk it. At least bring it up. Sometimes people's most exciting bits are what's happening to them, a personal connection with the spirits. So don't write that off. Also, if you walk into a room and you feel drawn toward a certain corner, listen to that instinct. Grab your equipment and head toward that corner. If you feel uncomfortable heading toward that corner, hang back and take 3 pictures of that corner. But listen to yourself, okay? All right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. But also, Devin probably just started the live stream if you want to say hello to all of the World Wide Web. Hello, everyone on YouTube. I'm going to pass out a walkie-talkie, one for each group, whoever wants it in this group. She's got it. Whoever wants it in this group.
You did good.
That's cool. I got my hand on something.
Great. Good for you. I love that. She just took control.
You're born leader.
That's right. All right. Okay, yeah. So take that. Stick your hand out if you want any of the equipment. So, everybody is given a walkie-talkie. I have a walkie-talkie. Devin also has a walkie-talkie. You're given these walkie-talkies so that you know when it's time to rotate and where to go next. You're going to hear my voice come through every 25 minutes. The first time my voice comes through, it's going to startle you a lot. It's going to be the scariest point of tonight, I promise. I have so many people run when I come through the walkie-talkie because they're trying to communicate with the spirit and they're asking a question and they hear a voice. But then you'll kind of get used to it and you'll expect to hear it every 25 minutes. The other reason that you're given a walkie-talkie is because you're investigating in the dark in one of the most actively haunted locations in the United States, in the middle of the night. This is going to be fun. We do not have malevolent spirits on this property, but if you feel uncomfortable at any point, I don't want you to keep feeling uncomfortable. If you need to take a break, take a break. We're going to turn the lights out in the courtyard, except for the stringed lights that are above the benches we were all sitting on. So if you need to take a breather and have a seat on those benches, by all means, do that. He's already calm down. So you can also walkie us. If you need us to come get you at any point, Devin or I are very happy to come get you. That's not a problem at all. Just so you know, everybody can hear you on the walkie. It's not just connected to us. Everybody will hear you, so you don't need to respond unless you need us, okay? So those are the 2 reasons why I have the walkie. All right. So we're going to get into the equipment. I'm going to hand out 2 flashlights for every group. Probably the most scared person in every group should have a flashlight.
Have a flashlight. Have a flashlight.
Okay.
He's like, all right. Okay, 2 flashlights, whoever wants it. She's like, I'm really scared. All right, so I'm giving you flashlights because you're going to be in the dark in a historic home. I don't want you to trip over any stairs. You don't want to trip over any stairs either. So you can use these to light your way. You can also use these flashlights to communicate with the spirits. So there are a couple of things you can do. And again, these are just tips. Take them or leave them. I have given everybody 2 flashlights that are different colors. That is on purpose. We are looking for intelligent communication here tonight. We are not hoping that, well, we're hoping all of this equipment goes off, sure. But we're not hoping that it just goes off willy-nilly. We're hoping that it goes off the way that we want it to, when we want it to. So you can take your flashlights, you can set them down on a table next to each other. You can establish out loud that blue means yes and black means no. And you can ask them a series of yes and no questions. You can ask them to dim the flashlight for yes, dim the blue flashlight for yes, dim the black one for no. Turn it all the way off, turn it on, right? We have had success with that in the past. So try the flashlight trick. The other thing you can do with these flashlights is you can use them as trigger objects. You can invite the spirits to interact with these flashlights. You can set the flashlight down on the floor, and you can ask a spirit to roll it toward you or roll it away from you. Ask them to interact with it. Okay? All right, so next up, does anyone know what this is?
Yeah.
An EMF meter. Yes, beautiful. Or a K2. This is measuring electromagnetic frequency, or EMF. Basically, this is measuring energy. This is your most basic piece of investigative equipment. If you ever do another investigation, you will be given one of these K2s. Now, I'm going to give it to you when it's already on. You don't have to do anything with this piece of equipment. This green light is your base reading. It just means that it's on. What you're looking for with this, when it detects EMF, it's going to light up all the way to red. It'll light up a little bit, but we're hoping it'll spike all the way to red. And again, we're hoping that it will spike when we want it to. I'm going to be giving everybody 2 K2s. I'll come around and hand them out, whoever wants it. And again, I'm giving you 2 K2s on purpose. A tip with these K2s, you can put 1 K2 on one side of the room, put the other K2 on the other side of the room. And maybe this K2 over here is already lighting up. You're seeing it tick all the way to red. And you can say, all right, hey, I see you over there. How about walking to the other side of the room and making that other K2 light up? And see if it'll follow the rules that you're establishing. Again, that's what we're really hoping for tonight. Now with these K2s, you're more than welcome to walk around with it. Just don't shake it. If you wave it, you're going to get a false reading. So I'd hold it kind of still. I'd even set it down on a table or a piece of furniture or the floor, and I would ask them to interact with it there. Okay, so just don't shake it around. It's pretty easy. All right, how are you feeling so far? Good. Okay. I wasn't sure that I had time for this, but we seem excited, and we're just going to do it. Okay. So does anyone know what this is? This is a ghost box, or a spirit box, or a voice box. Yeah, so an EVP, you might know what an EVP is. With this, you will hear a response in real time to your question. Okay? Yeah, this is very cool. Okay, so the way that this works, this is essentially just a glorified radio. I'm going to go ahead and pass these out, actually. Except one of them. I'm going to keep one. I'm going to keep yours just for a tutorial. Whoever wants it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I'll come back. So this is just a glorified radio. We can think of spirits as energy. This is an established energy source, and it allows the spirits to communicate with you through it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and you can find these buttons on your own. They're really small, so look for them now. There's a tiny power button on the bottom right side on the front. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and press that power button. You can hear it. It's a radio. The only other button you need to be paying attention to, turn it off. The only other button you need to pay attention to, it says sweep reverse, sweep REV. It's 2 buttons over. Do you see that? Yeah. It's really tiny. Sweep reverse. So you're going to press power, and then you're going to press sweep reverse, and that's it. Do you hear it? It's sweeping through the radio stations. Okay, like your car radio might see. It's the same thing. So you're going to have the occasional radio interference. You're going to have the occasional, like, ooh, ee, like a little, you want it? Just pointing at you, I don't know. You're going to have the occasional, like, country twang come through a little bit, and you're going to know that that's the radio. What you're listening for with this is a vocalization that will extend past the length of one change of a frequency. You're listening for a response, a phrase, a word that will overlay multiple channels, and it will not be broken up. Does that make sense? It also usually sounds a little bit louder to most people. It sounds different than the radio interference. So you're going to be asking them questions, and you're going to hear a response in real time.
So you just push it once?
So yeah, you just hold the power button down, and then you hold the sweep reverse button down, and then you're done. Yeah.
Okay, so
and then
you just turn them both on and walk around with them.
Yeah, so I actually wouldn't walk around with it. If I were you and I wanted to use the spirit box, I would have a spirit box session with my group. I would turn it on, press sweep reverse. There's a little kickstand in the back. So I would kick out that little kickstand. I'd set it down on the floor. I would then take out my cell phone, and I would be recording audio. This does not record audio on its own. It doesn't have that capability. And if you hear a ghost respond to your question, you're probably going to want to hear it again. And it's pretty hard to understand when you hear it most of the time. So if I were you, I'd press power, press sweep reverse, and then press record on my voice memo app or whatever you want to use on your cell phone, and I would have a spirit box session. I'd have my group sit in a circle around those 2 pieces of equipment, and I would ask a series of questions. If I were you, I would ask a question, and I would give them like 10 seconds to respond. I would give them time to respond. And then I would ask the question again, and I would wait another 10 seconds. And then when I finished asking all my questions, I would ask them again in a different way. Sometimes when you're fans of these ghost shows, it can seem like if you come to do an investigation, like you're going to walk into a room and there's going to be so much happening at one time. It could be like that. but most likely it will be quieter than that. You have to remember that those ghost shows are edited down 40 minutes of sometimes weeks-long investigations. The people who have the best time in this event and who get the best evidence are patient and persistent. They just keep at it. If you throw up your hands, nothing's going to happen, right? So if you've exhausted your questions, if you've run out of questions to ask, that's okay. Have a conversation amongst yourselves. You can be quiet if you want to, too. But I had a group that was investigating, and they weren't really getting a whole lot, and they were in a room in the lower level, and there was a teddy bear in that room. They started to talk about it. And one of the guests spoke up, and she said, well, I didn't have a teddy bear growing up. I had a stuffed lamb. And I started to describe her stuffed lamb, and all of the equipment in the room started going off. It was so cool. It was like a spirit then related to her or felt comfortable with her, and then they wanted to come through and communicate. So on that note, too, treat these spirits like human beings. Treat them like a stranger on the street that you want to befriend. Walk into a room. Knock on the door before you walk into a room. Then walk in and introduce yourself. Pay them a compliment. If you run up to someone and you're like, who are you and why are you here? They're not going to want to talk to you. That's not the way to start a conversation. So create a rapport with these spirits and treat them like human beings. Okay? That seems to be the best way to do it. So have a conversation amongst yourselves and with the spirits. Okay? It's going to feel kooky. You're going to feel like you're walking into an empty room and you're asking questions to the air. It's going to feel really weird for a while, but you paid $50 to be here tonight. Lean into it, right? You're here for one night, so just go head first, all full steam ahead. Okay, so you now have all of the evidence that you're responsible for, or the equipment that you're responsible for tonight. This is what you're bringing around with you from room to room as you're investigating and rotating. It's also what you're going to bring back at the end of the night for the debrief. So make sure that you don't lose this equipment. I do have your credit cards on file. It's a joke, but you know. Okay, so now you have all of your equipment, but I do have a couple of pieces of stationary equipment. So this is an EDI, or an environmental detection instrument. It's 3 pieces of equipment in one. So this is reading an ambient temperature. That's what this number is at the top, this digital read. To be honest, not that interesting. If there's like a big spike or a big decrease, that would be noteworthy. Otherwise, boring. Don't pay attention to the temperature. The other thing that this does is sensing EMF, or electromagnetic frequency, just like your K2 is. This will blink blue when it's detecting EMF down here. What we are really using this piece of equipment for is the geophone that's built in. So this is measuring seismic activity. I'm going to face it back to you guys in just a second, but would you stomp your foot for me? Did it light up? I can't see it. Did it? There you go. All right. So one more time. See it?
Yes.
All right, and I'm barely tapping on this desk right now, and it is still lighting up. Okay? Again, barely tapping on the desk, and it's still lighting up. Okay? So I'm going to be putting this in a place in the museum where we have a lot of reports of footsteps. If you hear footsteps, it's in the foyer. Yeah, your favorite spot. He came here a couple years before and got some evidence in the foyer. So if you're hearing footsteps, go out to the foyer and see if this is lighting up. Another thing you can try is you can ask the spirits to imitate you. I ask that you don't stomp while you're up there. That was just a tutorial. Thank you. There are going to be people below you, so I ask that you don't stomp because you're going to interfere with their evidence. But you can ask them to imitate you, and maybe you can knock. I'm going to set this on a staircase. You can rap on the railing. Maybe you can knock 4 times, and you can ask a spirit to knock back 4 times. Maybe you won't hear that knock, but you will see it light up 4 times. You can also try the shave and the haircut, and see if it'll blink, blink, finish it out for you. We've had success with that in the past too, so try it. Everybody knows that little ditty. All right. Lastly, does anyone know what this is? A REM pod. REM pod, you said that. Yes, it says it right here as well. But if you're a fan of Ghost Adventures, then you've probably seen a REM pod. So, this is everybody's favorite piece of equipment. This is emitting its own electromagnetic field around its antenna, and when something breaks that field, it lets you know through lights and sound. So, and it's 360 degrees. And it's pretty sensitive, but you have to be right up on it to make it go off. People often think that if they walk by it, they're going to make it go off, and you are not. We had people bring in a toy the other night, 2 nights ago, and she rolled the ball, and it hit the chair that this was sitting on, and it went off, and that is still not going to make this piece of equipment go off. I'm going to put my hand right up next to it, and it's still not going off right here. It just did when I got really close to it, but you have to get pretty close to make it go off. Now with this, because it lights up and makes noise, everybody wants to touch it. Please don't touch it. If you keep touching this piece of equipment, you're going to get another false reading. You're going to mess it up. I've calibrated it for you. Devin has calibrated the other ones for you. I promise that they are on and they are ready for you to use. You do not have to make sure that it's on, and you don't have to teach the ghosts how to use it. I sometimes have guests spend a lot of time in a room trying to explain how to use the equipment in 19th century vernacular, and that's really hard to do, and it's a huge waste of your time. You don't have to do that. You can call this a REM pod. You can call that a K2. They know this equipment better than you do. They're using it every weekend when we're investigating, so just call it what it is. You don't have to worry about explaining how to use any of it, okay? Also with this, because it's fun, you can ask the children spirits that we have on the property to interact with it. If you're good with kids, make this into a game. Yeah? All right. How are we feeling? Good?
Good.
Okay. All right. We're going to go into the house. We're going to get our condensed ghost tour, and then you're going to start investigating. Okay? I'll lead your way this way. Excuse me. Follow me.
Here we go. Okay, so be nice to the ghost.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that one first off. You know,
Or they've been yelled at once.
Feels in the sale, see, but not going to force it in the sale. That's extra. Just kidding. So we turn the air conditioning off because it makes noise, and we think that it tends to interfere with the evidence, so we do turn the air conditioning off. Sorry. All right. Is everyone? Yeah. Welcome inside the Sorrel-Weed mansion. It's a weird introduction coming into a dark basement. I recognize that. We will head upstairs. You'll be able to see the beauty of the home when we get up there. But this house was built in 1840. It was built for Francis Sorrel as a wedding present to his second wife, Matilda. While the Sorrels were living here, this lower level where we're standing now, this was the slaves' working quarters. The Sorrels did have probably up to 15 enslaved house servants while they were living here. This big room that we're standing in now, this was the kitchen. And all of the fireplaces in the lower level were used for cooking. So while you're down here investigating the lower level, try to reach out to the slaves. If you have the equipment go off, maybe it's one of the slaves. It also could be a soldier. The Revolutionary War in Savannah was fought right outside in what's now Madison Square. So while that war was going on in 1779, the British officers were actually living on this property in rudimentary barracks before the house was here. This also happens to be where those British officers died. The French Haitian troops set their cannonballs over to these barracks, blowing it up, and it killed and buried those 12 British officers underneath the foundation of the house. Their bones are still here. People do report communicating with those soldiers. So while you're down here, reach out to the soldiers and reach out to the slaves. Now, one of our most active entities has been an entity we refer to really simply as Shadow Man. Shadow Man is a very tall, very thin, three-dimensional looking shadow. Oh, that's who you were talking about, isn't it? Yeah. So, yes, so Shadow Man can mostly be seen or experienced or captured in footage pacing in this breezeway behind me, walking the length of it back and forth, as if he's keeping guard, perhaps. We have a tendency to believe that he's a soldier, but we don't know much more about him. Now, there are other shadow figures here. You may have seen a shadow figure, and maybe it wasn't Shadow Man. People just like to talk about Shadow Man a lot, it's sort of legendary in Savannah, but there are other figures down here. But I told you earlier to pay attention to what you're hearing, smelling, and feeling, because most people are not going to see something in this house. Most of us are not sensitive in that way to the paranormal, so pay attention to more so to the other senses, and that's why we turn the lights out as well, because it dulls out that sense, and it allows you to pay attention to the other senses more. But Shadow Man is someone you can try to reach out to if you want to in the breezeway. I would at least spend some time in the breezeway trying to reach out to whoever might be there. There's a chair at the end of the breezeway that's there for these investigations. Sit in that chair. Hang out in that chair. If I were you, I would leave my equipment behind. I would sit in that chair by myself. I would close my eyes and I would try to have an experience. I would center myself and try to have an experience. You don't have to, but that's just my tip for you. You can also bring your equipment back there, by all means, but it tends to be pretty active in the breezeway, so definitely spend some time back there. Okay? We're gonna head to that bathroom. There's a handle on the left door. You can pull it toward you and head inside, and there's a sofa in there that y'all can sit on if you want to. We'll talk about the furniture in there. I'm gonna blow these oil lamps out, so it begins.
So it shall be.
What I saw seemed to be shorter and more stocky.
Yeah. I don't know exactly. We have had recent reports of a smaller shadow that's been darting, but it's been in this area of the kitchen. Oh, that's where you saw it? Oh, I thought it was in this room.
From that window, this.
Oh, okay. So mostly when people describe that shadow in there, they say it's lower to the ground and it's darting across the room, like going very quickly. I don't know if that's the same or not.
No, this one was slow. It was like, it was like from here, pretty slow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that was. There are a lot of different spirits in this house, so yeah, I don't know exactly, but I don't think that was Shadow Man. I really don't. Yeah. Great. So this room back here, oh yes, furniture. So yes, you can sit on the sofa. You can also sit on the chair in the breezeway, and you can sit on the sofa in the next room. All of the other furniture in this museum is off limits. Please don't sit on any of it. Don't lean on any of it. It is antique business. Thank you, thank you so much. Yeah, but you be careful with the furniture. And just because you can't sit on or touch any of the furniture doesn't mean the spirits can't. You can ask them to interact with the furniture, ask them to have a seat, ask them to open or close the door. Right? But I ask that you don't mess with any of it, especially over here. We have a lot of very fragile antiques in this room in particular. So just be careful with it, but ask the spirits to interact with it if you want to. So this sofa, the next sofa, and the chair in the breezeway, have a seat. Okay? Everywhere else, no seat. Alright. So this room is what we in the Historic Home Museum refer to as the linen room. We believe this is where the home and majority of the cleaning would have taken place, as well as some preparing of meals, as there's a fireplace in here. This is where I told you that person on my floor was smelling fresh laundry in here. So pay attention to what you're smelling in this room. That seems to be the most common reporting that at least I get from my tours from my guests. But while you're in here, you're going to try to reach out to the slaves. And note on these slaves, this is a slave. These were urban slaves. They were not plantation slaves. They're not out picking cotton in a field from sun up to sundown. These are skilled laborers. They have very specified skills. They're cooks, mechanics, carpenters, seamstresses, nannies, butlers, blacksmiths, cobbler, stable boys. Right? They have skills. I'm not saying it's better than a plantation slave, it's just different. So when you're trying to reach out to these slaves, ask them interesting, complex questions. They're interesting, complex people. Ask them about their job. Ask them if they have favorite horse in the stable. Ask them if they like to eat, if they had a family. Right? Ask them interesting questions. So here you're mostly going to be reaching out to the slaves. Now, we have had reports. It's been reported enough times that I feel confident to tell you about it. I didn't know this on the story we talked about before, I think. We believe that there's a little boy who likes to hang out in this room. Every time that I've heard about this little boy from a medium, someone who can see and communicate with spirits, I've been told that he's sitting by a fireplace waiting for his parents to finish up their jobs for the day. So we think that he's the son of slaves and a slave himself. We think his name is Bobby. He's really sweet, kind of quiet. I would use a spirit box with him. But if you're getting a weird K2 spike in here or some equipment to go off, maybe it's Bobby. And if you have a name to throw out there, try to connect with somebody in the room. So you can try to communicate with Bobby in here or any of the other slaves. Now before we go into the next room, if we're going to do keeps tell you, you. If not, keep it in. I'm telling you this before we go to the next room. It sounds like a scare tactic. We have so many people call us after leaving the property asking for their earring back. And we don't return them their earrings because we don't know where to go. I think it's a kid. I don't think it's a spiteful thing. You just have something shiny on your face and they're trying to get your attention. But on that note, if they're not so important to you, or even if they are, you can take out your earrings, your watch, you have a bunch of shiny necklaces on right now, and your belt is super shiny, you're just happy for it over here. You're really good. I had girls before that like come with these huge chandelier earrings because they wanted them to be taken. I thought that was really great. So take off your necklace, take off your earrings and set it down on the table. Invite the spirit to interact with the stuff that you brought tonight. Use them as trigger objects, the same way with the flashlight. Ask them to knock it off the table if you want to, but you're lost, let them to you. Ask them to interact with the things that you brought tonight. But if you lose your earrings, I will get and also let you know for leaving alone. Okay, so we're going to head into the next room. You can push through those double doors. This is my favorite room. You all right there? Yeah. Did it break?
No, that's okay.
Everybody's always dropping flashlights.
Oh boy.
I don't know why that is, and they break pretty easily. So let's be careful.
You gotta uncut
It happened. Oh, we dropped a little piece, and that's okay. I'll just take that. I'll put it in my pocket. Okay. It's just gonna be real bright. That's alright.
Good for me.
Okay. I'm gonna open this door all the way. People tend to back into it and scare themselves.
It's a strong smell.
What does it smell like?
I smell
I think
something
it's a
too.
kerosene.
Yeah, it smells like
It
carrots.
might smell like lamp oil. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not paranormal. They're real lamp oil.
Okay.
Yeah. So as I told y'all, this lower level was the slaves' working quarters, but there was a time that this room served a different purpose. Between 1845 and 1850, this was the medical office of Dr. Frank Sorrel. Frank was one of Francis's oldest sons. He wasn't a regular doctor. He was a trauma surgeon. This was a makeshift operating room for 5.5 years. Now, there was a lot of death that occurred in this room. Frank was actually a really gifted trauma surgeon. He had the lowest mortality rate in the nation. The lowest mortality rate in the nation in 1845 was 51%. He lost over half of his patients. So while you're in here, reach out to some of his former patients. I don't think that Dr. Sorrel is here. I don't think Frank still lingers here. Try to reach out to him if you want to. But I do believe that the spirits of his former patients do. So the majority of surgeries that were taking place in this room were amputations and the removal of bullets. He was also seeing plenty of locals who were falling off of their horse and carriage and getting hurt that way. So while you're in here, ask some yes or no questions. Ask them specifically if they were here for an amputation, if they were here for a leg amputation. You get specific. It seems to be a little bit easier to try to communicate with them. Okay. Back here, this is a 19th century wheelchair. There's a REM pod sitting on it. I can't tell you exactly who's sitting in the wheelchair. We haven't had it for long enough for us to really have a definitive theory on it. But ask whoever might be sitting on it to move it. We've had this, I just said, we've had this wheelchair for less than a year. It's moved, I think, 6 times during tours. Now, if there is a camera right up there, of course, it's such a slight movement of the wheelchair that you can't see the movement in the video, but you can hear the squeak of the wheel in the back. There's a tri-wheel and 2 front wheels when they roll over the brick. So pay attention to what you're hearing in here too. You might not see it move, but you might hear it squeak. So ask whoever might be sitting in there to roll toward you. Ask them to make the REM pod go off. Now, in spite of all the death that occurred in here, we do have those kids, those playful entities. We believe there are 3 children spirits in the lower level. Now, they especially like to play in this room for whatever reason. One of these kids we believe is a little girl who loves to play hide and seek. I hear myself say that during this little tour. I too hear that it sounds like the plot line of a bad horror movie, right? A little ghost girl who plays hide and seek, something I'm making up to scare you. We have so many people tell us they're feeling their ankles touched, their shoelaces played with, feeling pokes in the back of the leg, and it's most often happening when they're sitting on that sofa or when they're standing near a piece of furniture. We believe that she's hiding underneath these pieces of furniture and just letting you know that you found her by tugging on your shoelace or by grabbing you by the back of the ankles. So pay attention to what you're feeling in here and have a seat on that sofa. It's not comfortable. You're going to sink a little when you sit on it. It's old, but we can't get rid of that sofa. People come back to this property just to hang out on that sofa. So spend some time there. Play hide and seek with her. We think her name is Sarah. Count down from 10 and have your group spread out around the lower level. Play a game with her. I had, be careful with your flashlight. I had a group the other night play Duck, Duck, Goose in here. I thought that was really smart. So they got in a circle, but they left a gap for Sarah. And then they played Duck, Duck, Goose as if she was there. And then they held hands in a circle and they left a gap for her again. I thought that was such a good idea, especially because she's seeing you have fun. And then maybe she wants to join in with your party, right? If you include her in your fun, that could be a good way to go about it. So have fun in here, play games, reach out to the kids. The slaves could be in here as well as the former patients. Now, a note on what it feels like when you're touched by a spirit. It does not feel like a human touch. If you feel a human touch while you're investigating here tonight, it is somebody else in your group who is trying to scare you. It does feel like cobwebs that are brushing your skin and you can't get rid of them. It feels like loose hair you can't find, a bug crawling up your skin, a feather brushing over it. Those are ways guests most often describe it. Sometimes, too, it can feel like a warm sensation, like someone's holding up a lighter just to a patch of your skin, like your cheek or your elbow. Other times can feel like pins and needles, to the point where it almost itches. So pay attention to what you're feeling throughout the house, especially in this room. And a good way to test if you have any funny feeling is to move. If you walk into a room and you feel cold or dizzy or sad or different in some way, or you smell something, walk back out of the room. Cross the threshold again and see if the feeling follows you. If that experience goes away immediately when you cross that threshold, it could be paranormal. If it follows you back to your hotel after this event is over, it's probably just you. So that's a good way to test it out. We're going to push through those next double doors. I'm going to blow these oil lamps out, and then we're going to head upstairs. I'm throwing a lot at you. You can ask questions at any point. Again, my name is Janie. Holler at me if you have questions.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
You know what? This is the stuff. Okay. Right, sorry. Okay, we're gonna make our way upstairs. We'll be able to see the beauty of the home. I know it's too. Sorry. Really deep south. Yeah. It's gonna get hotter too. Okay. So, just so you know where we are, and it's a little confusing, that's the front door right behind you. Okay? So this is the foyer. This would have been the first thing that you would have seen if you were a guest of the Sorrels. I put the EDI right here on the staircase because we do have a lot of reports of footsteps coming from the foyer and coming down the staircase. Okay? So come out and check this out, and you can rap on the staircase if you want to ask them to imitate you. So it's going to keep playing down. All right. So this room back here, we can go in real quickly. Right here, follow me. And now we can see the beauty of the purpose of the top layer.
Right here.
What was that? So this is the study. This is where Francis told my small business meetings, doing his work. We know what happens in studies. To be frank, this is the least active room in the house. It doesn't mean you won't get activity. I still wanted to bring you in here because I had a guest for a the light. Yes, that's Francis and Matilda, and those are two spirits that you can try to reach out to tonight while you're here, especially Matilda. You'll hear more about when we go across the hall. Okay, so this was the setting of Francis. That's what I'm gonna turn this light on. Go ahead inside. No, you can talk about it so you can tell us about it. Okay, yes, we'll make our way all the way inside.
Approximately how much of all the furnishings and paintings and everything is original?
Almost none of it. Yeah. So most of the furniture is not original. The Sorrels took their furniture with them when they moved out in 1862, as we do when we move locations. That's just them leaning on the pocket doors. That's not a ghost or anything if you hear that noise. Yeah, so the furniture is not original. It's all 19th century furniture. It's all locally sourced from Savannah, and it's really particularly laid out. It also is interesting that the furniture isn't original to the home, because spirits do tend to attach themselves to tangible objects that existed in both of our worlds. So when they were alive and now when we're alive. So when we bring in 19th century furniture, it tends to bring a spirit with it. So you might get someone who didn't live in this home who came with the furniture. What is original, since you asked, are the floors, the doors, the trim around the ceiling, the medallions on the ceilings, the fireplaces, and we actually believe that these mirrors have been here since the Sorrels were here. Take pictures in these mirrors. Some people's best evidence is captured when people take photos in here. Take more than one at a time. If your reflection of the reflection of the room, you might capture something that you didn't see. Okay, so definitely take pictures of the mirrors.
Is the paint like done to what they think the original paint was?
It is. We just repainted these parlor rooms a couple of months ago, so it's fun that you asked that because we were so excited about it. It used to be this yellow color, it was awful, but yeah, we think that this is the original French blue, so we just repainted it. I think it looks really nice. Oh, the yellow that's out in the hallway, we're gonna repaint the whole thing. Yeah, so this is what we believe it would have looked like. And very similar layout with all the furniture and everything too, so you can kind of imagine it. These would have been gasoliers, of course, they didn't have electricity or anything, but yeah, you can kind of figure it out in your imagination. So these were the parlor rooms. These are the public rooms. They're the most beautiful rooms of the entire home. This is where their parties would have taken place. This house was the party house of Savannah during its time. Everyone wanted to come to the Sorrels' parties. While you're here in these parlor rooms, have a party. Stir up the energy of those parties. Play some music if you want to. Even with your phone on airplane mode, you can still play music. I ask that you please don't play your music too loud. There are people below you. This is an old house and noise travels. But play music in here, dance around in here, invite a spirit to dance with you. Ask them what they cooked for that party. Tell them what you like to make. If you throw a party, tell them what you like to drink. Ask them what they like to drink. Talk to them about these parties and have fun with them in here. This is a piano, an 1860 Steinway piano, in fact. If she's tempting you to play her, don't listen to her. Please don't play the piano, but ask a spirit to play the piano, especially if you are musically trained or inclined in any way. Ask whoever might be sitting there to play a specific note, a specific song, and you might get some activity. We have had success with that too. I heard it on my tour once, 2 keys played on my tour. I thought it was somebody's cell phone, and it wasn't. It was wild. So definitely ask whoever might be sitting there to play the piano. So, let's head into the ladies' parlor. Actually, before we do that real quickly, I feel like I'm doing a disservice sometimes when I tell my guests that these were the party rooms and that's it. Try to drum up the energy of the party. Have fun in here. But if that feels inappropriate to you for some reason, if you feel like that's the wrong vibe, abandon that idea. These were their public rooms, as I said. If they had a loss in the family, they would hold the wake in these rooms. You might not be walking into a party. You might be walking into a wake. You might be walking into the family, hanging out in the living room. And it might just be a quiet Sunday night for them. You never really know what you're walking into. But I would start out with the party, but if that feels wrong to you, if it just doesn't feel appropriate, abandon that idea and try something else. Okay? We'll head to the ladies' parlor. I'm going to share with you the main story of this house in there, and then we'll get to investigating. Slide out. That's fine. Sorry. Thank you. All right. So, also at the end of the party, after everybody has eaten and drunk and danced and had a grand old time, they would have separated by gender. So this was the ladies' parlor room, and that was the gentleman's parlor room. I'm pretty sure, yeah, every group that's investigating here tonight has both genders. Separate your group by gender. Half the gentlemen in the gentleman's parlor and the ladies here in the ladies' parlor. Or put the ladies in the gentleman's parlor and the gentlemen in the ladies' parlor and see what happens then. Right? Invite them to dance with you or something. But separate your group by gender if you want to. Just a tip. Okay, so the ladies' parlor also would have been where the kids were hanging out, so you might get some activity with some children in here, because they would have been hanging out with their mothers. And there's a REM pod in here for your use. There's going to be a REM pod in every level where you'll be investigating tonight, so you can ask whoever might be sitting on that sofa to touch the REM pod, or ask someone to have a seat. Note on the REM pod too, if you walk into a room and the REM pod is already going off, you can ask the spirit to back away from it, right? You can flip it. You can say, I'm going to count down from 10. When I finish my countdown, can you back away from that REM pod and see if it'll stop when you get to 1? Or say, I'm going to count to 3. Can you touch the REM pod when I get to 3? And again, establish some normalcy. Okay. So, this is a haunted house. You were expecting some tragedy. You heard about the surgery. You also heard about the Revolutionary War. There was some familial tragedy as well. March 27, 1860, the Sorrels were planning one of their large luxurious parties. Matilda, the lady in the home, she wanted to know how preparations for this party were going. And in order to find out how preparations were going, she would have found her most trusted slave, Molly, and she would have asked her. But on this particular night, Matilda couldn't find Molly anywhere. She's looking all over the house. Nobody had seen her. The last place that Matilda thinks to look for Molly is Molly's bedroom. The last place where you'll be investigating tonight is the upper level of the carriage house. That's where the slaves lived. Molly had her own bedroom in the slaves' living quarters. Every time it's your turn to investigate in the upper level of the carriage house, I will bring you up there myself, and I will tell you a little bit about it, okay? So March 27th, she's looking for Molly, can't find her. She finally goes to her bedroom and she looks there. Matilda does find Molly in her room that night. She also finds Francis, her husband, in Molly's bed with her. And we can take an educated guess as to what Francis was doing there. But it's important we keep in mind, Molly was a slave. Francis was her slave owner. It's really doubtful that Molly had a choice. And Matilda, having seen this, was devastated. Matilda ran down the steps from the carriage house. She ran back into the mansion. She went up to the 3rd floor above us. She went up to the 3rd-story balcony, and she tumbled over the ledge of the balcony. She fell head first, actually. She landed in the courtyard below, which was 4 feet lower than it is today, and made of black slate tile. Needless to say, Matilda passed away that night. And then just 2 weeks after Matilda's loss, again, nobody could find Molly. Again, they're looking all over the house. The last place they look for Molly again is her bedroom. Again, they find her there, but this time Molly was hanging from a rafter in the ceiling of her bedroom. And because Molly was a slave, she was considered property and not a person. Thus, there was never an investigation that took place into Molly's death. It was really simply written off as a suicide, and nobody bothered asking any more questions. But we at the Sorrel-Weed house pretty unanimously believe that Molly was murdered. We know from records that Molly was 4'11". The rafters in the ceiling of her bedroom are really tall. It's doubtful that she had any furniture to have stood on. It's also probably worth noting that historically, hanging was a white person's way of killing someone else. There's a lot of mystery that enshrouds both of these women's deaths. I can't tell you what happened to Molly. I can't tell you what happened to Matilda. I can't tell you Matilda jumped. I can't tell you Matilda wasn't pushed. Matilda's death was reported as an accident, that she fainted over the balcony. I think that was to save face. Matilda was buried outside of their family crypt in an unmarked grave. There's no reason for her to be buried that way unless it was suicide. It was highly stigmatized. She wouldn't have been allowed to have been buried with the rest of the family. So most people come to the conclusion of murder and suicide. Ask them about it if you want to. You can reach out to whomever you want to reach out to here tonight. Ask them about their lives. Ask them about their deaths. I just ask that you do so with respect. I have one rule. while you're here investigating with us tonight, and that rule is respect. Respect for this house. This is first and foremost an historic home museum. Respect for each other, for everybody in your group, and respect for the spirits. We work really hard to be respectful to the spirits so they are respectful and kind to us and to our guests. We could not hold this event if we thought we were putting you in harm's way in any way. We do not have malevolent spirits here, and while you're here investigating on your own, you are representing us. Please treat them with respect. Ask them thought-provoking questions, but don't provoke them just for provocation's sake. Okay? It's a really simple rule. I'm sure everybody will not have a problem with it. Okay, I know I ended this on kind of a downer, but we're going to go ahead and investigate now. Does anybody have any questions regarding the equipment, names, refreshers, history, anything at all?
Are there any rules about closing doors? Should we keep
That
doors
is a
open?
great question. So that's up to you. The only door that I ask that you keep shut is the door across the hall that leads down the stairs to the lower level, just so you have an extra barrier between those two groups, so you have less interference. So close that door, but the other doors, leave them open, close them, ask a spirit to close them. That's up to you. This door, the ladies' parlor room door right here, if you open it, you don't open it wide enough, it'll close on its own. And it is not a ghost, it's just a historic door. Okay, so if you don't open it wide enough, it will start to close. So you be wary of that. But yeah, leave the doors open or close them, that's up to you, except the door leading down to the lower level. Okay?
It'll open on its own too.
They do. Yeah, I've seen a door open on its own. It freaks me out. So ask them to open the doors if you want to. All right, we're going to go ahead and start investigating. Does anyone feel like getting the party started, starting up here? Did you raise your hands?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great.
So I was gonna go down the steps here.
Oh, perfect. Let's do that. I'm so glad. Okay. So whoever is with this group, I don't remember who.
Jeremy
I
and
hear.
Kate.
Okay, great. Jeremy and Kate. So y'all are going to start up here, get the party started. Everybody else, you're going to come downstairs with me. I'm going to drop a group off in the lower level and bring a group over to the carriage house. All right. Happy investigating to you.
I guess we could like have hair, but and then she goes in and look at hair, and I was like, oh my god. And yes, one time his wave hair was like, where to check that?
Right.
Oh, down the yeah, both of us were getting our arm hair tickled.
And I get started.
Oh, yeah.
At this door opening and somebody saying, oh my God, get out. He's going.
I'm back.
I'm
They told me to
back.
put this in, what you guys want to do.
All right.
Did they say you put that in? I don't know.
So,
Yeah.
yo, that one, we're supposed to sit down.
I know I can't get the thing out to put it on.
Yeah, you tip, and then you
You
ask
got
questions.
anything else?
But did she say you could walk around and stuff to farm with it?
This one, you got plenty enough to get that?
Oh, yeah.
I guess
yeah.
this is good.
Okay, guys.
Matilda, are you in here?
I'm trying to get, are you having a party today?
Let 10 seconds go on.
Anyone in here tonight?
You can push
Oh,
this, go
you
this
did it?
button, it'll pick it up.
Well, you just asked a question and made a noise.
Is anyone in here tonight? Talk to me if you're in here. I'm getting so many.
You didn't hear that?
I heard something.
Matilda, are you sitting on the sofa?
Are you in here tonight? We'd like to talk to you. We are friends. We come to the party with you. You ready to party? Somebody's trying to say something. Is anyone trying to party? We want to have fun with you tonight. Come on, show yourself. I want to talk to you. You talked to me the last time I was here. You told me to get out. I want to stay and party with you. For me? No. Are you in here?
Matilda, are you sitting on the sofa? If you're sitting on the sofa, run your hand across the pod, the ring pod.
How fast? Some questions, guys.
Matilda.
Little
Is it party or not?
Is there anyone else in here today? How many people are in here? Thank you for letting us be here.
Yes, thank you. We're glad to be here.
Let 10 seconds go off.
Oh,
We have
what
a
you
question,
said?
yeah. Give time to answer it.
I'm sorry, I'm going too fast.
Is there a funeral here today?
Is that what you feel? It's Sunday. Did you go to church today? Hey, we're not partying. Let's party. Sunday party.
Sunday fun day.
Sunday fun day. Come on, we're here to party. Are you here?
Are we going across the way too? Like we have this whole floor?
Do we have a whole floor?
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
Well, I'm just telling you. I'll tell you right now.
So we have the foyer too?
This is the room. I went out this door here.
Yeah.
And where the steps are, she's got that REM pod there.
Yeah.
I was standing right by the steps, and this door cracked open, and you can see a shadow.
So we can go over here.
Yeah, and then it shut back. I sure would like to talk to someone. I sure would like to talk to you. Oh, somebody just. Will you talk to me? Yes, you said yes. I want to talk to you too. Why are you in the women's side? Are you a slave? Yes.
Hello? Are you here? Can you come downstairs? I'm in the foyer. Yeah. My thing was vibrating.
Can you touch the REM pod?
On the couch.
We really want to talk to you. Go see what takes this.
I was just looking at the stairs when I was walking back in and this thing vibrated a little bit, so I was just
It did.
stopping right here.
But Francis, are you in here having a party?
This was trying to make noise to you.
Well, it hadn't touched, it won't hurt you to do it. We'll just make it bright, light up.
What is that?
It's a 360 camera.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm just videoing the whole thing.
Well,
Anyone want to come on and say hi?
I'm gonna set this down.
Does anybody want to play the piano for us?
I'll pull the seat up for you guys.
Oh, I don't think you should have done that.
I'm sorry.
Hang on. Let me help you out there.
Oh,
Oh, you better put that back on there.
I'm sorry about that, guys. Hey, give me some light.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now people downstairs again.
Does someone want to play the piano? Anybody in here want to play the piano? I need someone to play the piano.
Who was the gentleman that was the study? Francis? Yeah. I thought it was for the St. Francis.
Francis?
So Francis, the one that has a study?
Francis was the actual husband of Matilda. He actually lost prominence here in the.
Yeah.
Are you Francis? Francis, are you in here? Frank was Francis's son.
Oh.
Frank was the surgeon.
Okay.
We learned about your son today too, Francis. It seems like they're trying to communicate like he is.
Francis, are you in here?
We love your house, Francis.
Yeah. I know.
It's going off a lot. Do you need something on the table? Or is that?
Like, I mean,
Can you move the fork on the table? Just like those two that you want, I want to be
oh,
It's a black with garter.
I saw that shit. Did you see that? Okay, I'm freaked out. I'm getting up. Okay, bye. See you. Come on. Come on, thing. Okay, I'm gonna shoot you. I'm going to look at the other end of that hallway, and I'm scared to butts. I don't know. Guys? Hello?
Charlotte's best what happens to you is what, if you tell me what's going on, I'll help a little bit as much as I can.
You know you're here.
Stay with us.
Matilda. You need to learn how to ask one question.
Oh, you're doing so good with the whole thing, so that's why I was like, all of a sudden that made that really scary noise and like, oh my.
Is this the stairway you went up, Matilda?
Oh, my hair went up. Oh my gosh.
Matilda, can you walk up or down the stairs for us? How about one of your butlers? Can he walk up or down the steps?
We're gonna knock on the stairwell. Please reply and knock back.
Matilda, can you walk down the steps for us, please? Yes, you can. Walk down the steps for us.
Don't be afraid, we will not hurt you.
I can't hurt you. I know you know. Please walk down the steps for us. You can too.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh god! Oh god! I'm sorry.
It's
No, it's not.
No, it's not That's upstairs and it's not setting it off. So
Aim it up there.
no, I'm just saying. God, was that there? Sarah, was that you? Do you want to play hide and seek? Sarah, do the thing where this is going off.
Sarah, can you come back out?
You're bad at talking. Jamie,
Okay.
Okay.
So the ceiling's wait.
stop. You're
Okay.
bad at talking.
Whatever.
I want this thing to go off again, but come on. Sarah, we want to play with you. We know you like games. We'll play hide and seek with you, okay?
You gotta let go. She gotta talk.
1, 2, 3.
Let's count back from 10.
What did I say?
She said count back from 10.
Jamie. I want it to go off again. It was off. It was going off. I don't want to know why.
Sarah, can you talk to us again?
I just need to, I'm a facts person. Just show me the facts. Don't believe you. Make this go off again, please.
Sarah, can you move the flashlight or the wheelchair?
Listen, she's a little girl.
Sarah.
Sarah, where are you?
Wanna play hide and seek, Sarah?
Sarah, come and find us.
I'm gonna count down from 10. Ready, Sarah? 10. 9.
Hide, because we're going to find you.
8. We're gonna get you. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. We're coming to find you, Sarah.
Come on, wherever you are, Sarah.
We have to look.
Oh, no, yes.
Come on, Susie, let's go look for Sarah.
Sarah?
Goodness.
No, don't take that.
Sarah.
Because Sarah would hit that if she's too ready.
Oh, we gotta find her.
Jamie, quiet. I wonder where she is.
We gotta
Find her.
We didn't go in here.
Sarah.
Oh.
No, she hangs out in this room, Jamie.
I know that, but there's this room too. Sarah. Sarah.
Jane. Jane. What's up? Come here. Sarah, come find us.
Sarah. I don't think that's the sound of upstairs.
What happened to make this thing go off? That's what I have to know.
Sarah was here and now she's not.
Yeah, Sarah, what I'm saying is like, we did something that made her come out. This is like an escape room here, by the cliff.
Yeah, this is like low-key scary to look at.
Stop. Yeah.
Okay. Sarah, I'm gonna go sit in that chair again now that we woke her up, I think. The chair, the stairs under the table is making me sick.
Hey Sarah, can you go to the REM pod?
Sarah, can you go to the rocking chair?
It's not a rocking chair, it's a wheelchair.
Sarah, can you go to the wheelchair? I don't like that.
Sarah, is anyone else here?
Ooh.
Is this Sarah or is it someone else? Is this Bobby? If it's someone else, go to the REM pod. We're not trying to be bossy. We just need to know.
I'm gonna read these. Do you want to read these? I'm scared to read them. Oh, spooky.
Alright, it's time for your first rotation. The parlor rooms will head down to the lower level. Those in the lower level will be in the carriage house, and those in the carriage house will go back upstairs through the mansion and into the
I
parlor
have to
room.
clarify with her what causes things to go off.
No, no.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye.
Or whoever else we're talking to. It's been a pleasure.
And
Bobby or anyone else, one of the slaves, I'm sorry that happened to you. Or your
sit on a chair, see if I get it. Take it.
Hello.
Francis.
Actually, Frank was operating in here, right?
Frank.
Hi, Frank.
I think Frank just said something.
Hi, Frank. Are you here? Frank, are you in here? I just want to say hi. My name's Kate, and this is Jeremy, and we're both nurses. And I know that you did a lot of operations in here. I know a lot of your patients died, which must have been hard for you. Is there anybody in here that had an operation in here?
What was the little girl's name?
There's Sally. Sarah?
Sarah. Sarah, are you in here? Touch the back of my legs if you're here. Let's go play hide and go seek. Come find me.
Yeah, you're not hiding.
Well,
We haven't played on this. What if we hide behind something? What if I hide back here? Where's Chuck? Chuck?
let's find
What are you
Chuck,
doing?
Sarah.
Sarah, come find me. Where are you? Come find me.
Sarah, turn this flashlight off for me, please. Touch the back of it. You can turn it off.
Come find me.
I like little girls. I've got 2 granddaughters.
My daughter's named Sarah.
Anyone like to touch beards?
Na, 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 na. I know where Sarah is. She's underneath the table.
Oh, she is now. Are you okay?
Na, na,
That's
na.
Kate.
Oh, that's Kate. Kate's underneath the table. Sarah can't find me.
It's turned off again.
Oh.
Is your battery dying?
No, it's
There's a lot of
full.
times,
Full.
a lot of times it's full, so I'm saying don't stuff the battery drying.
Yeah.
No, it has a little meter on it. It's full. And it shows how many minutes I can do still.
Get out loud. Don't touch it that way. There you go.
Just
Is there a body in here too?
Frank, are you in here?
How about anybody that got operated on by Frank? Is anybody
Sit
in?
right here on this bed.
Is there anyone in here?
You gotta give him time to answer.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys.
Isn't it amazing how people know to get checked?
They all pick on Chuck. I was gonna go over there and sit by myself in that corner.
Yeah.
I got a little shaken, so I stopped.
For real?
Hey, Sarah. Don't touch this EMF thing. The
That's
lights
probably them
go
just
off when you
walking
touch
around,
it.
right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay.
So make them come on, Sarah.
I wonder who the wheelchair's
Okay.
about.
I do
Can you
not
go-
have my flash on. I keep turning it off, but it keeps turning on.
Sarah, let's play a game. Touch the EMF meter in 3
Oh.
seconds.
Hello?
1,
Is someone to
2,
say hello?
3.
How are you? Sound like a child's voice.
Watch that land,
Oh,
John.
wait.
There's a land right there.
Now you got 3 of them going.
Good.
We'd really like to hear some more music. Could you play a scene?
Well, since I'm one of the ladies, I'm gonna come into the ladies' parlor. I don't know about myself, so.
I'll come
in.
Y'all have to stay in here.
All right. We're just gonna smoke cigars.
Okay.
Maybe it's something. Let's see. Okay. You understand that maybe tonight is not a party night. Maybe we're just here together. I'd really like to hear from whoever's in this room. Francis, is it you? Can you say yes or no? Francis, is that you? Francis, is that you? What was that? I can't hear you. Francis, is that you? Francis, are you here? What was your favorite thing in this room? Well, I know what I like to do at parties. I like to listen to music. I like to drink. What do you do at parties?
Is God also your personal?
Did that point or not?
Your hair and up to your dress? Who did your hair? To clear your clothes and get them nice.
Would you like us to leave the parlor? That sounded like yes.
That's a different voice.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I get that. All good. All right, we're going to leave the parlor. Guys, well, you heard that, right?
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay, guys. Didn't hear anything. And then I asked, do you want us to leave the parlor? And clear as day, yes.
Oh.
That was creepy.
Yeah. The whole parlor, or we are here back here?
I
Kind of,
Are we allowed to touch things?
think so. As long as we don't sit. I don't think we're allowed to sit.
What is something children can roll around?
I don't know. Oh, here. What if we asked them to move around?
What is, yeah, that's some sort of a.
Are there any children in here who'd like to play? This looks like something you would have played with when you lived here.
Yeah.
Did you you like coming in here with your mother after the parties and playing?
If you did like to play, can you move the toy? Or move my flashlight?
I have another little toy here.
Oh.
What kind of bug is this? Is that a cricket? Or a beetle? Or a grasshopper?
If you're here, can you talk to us? Or move the toy? Or move my flashlight?
You don't have to be afraid of us. I have kids too.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your kids.
My oldest is Naomi. She's 7. And my son is 4, almost 5. His name is Abel. What's your name?
If you're here, can you move the toy? Or move my flashlight? Here, I'll give you some room. I don't want to scare you. If you're here, can you move the toy?
Do you like candy? What I have here is what we call fruit gummies. You've probably never heard of them before. They're kind of chewy and taste like different kinds of fruit and really sweet. And the packaging is kind of fun too because it makes this loud noise. Would you like to try some?
If you'd like to try some, can you say yes? If you'd like to try some, can you say yes?
Did you have a nanny or someone who took care of you other than your mother? Do you like the person who takes care of you?
Track the time so the second Okay. Are we bothering you? Would you like us to leave you alone so you can play? Would you like us to go away? Would you like us to leave? You guys want to go to that other room across the hall? Or maybe the hallway? So maybe you should go back. Let's get her.
Carrie,
Oh,
I can grab it, but I shouldn't.
I put that there originally.
Okay.
So. I wish this came out this way, it would make my day. having for dinner today?
We're here, we're your guests, why don't you come say hello?
Did you knock on something for us? You don't seem like you want to talk, which is fine. So, really leave the foyer. If you'll knock on something, let us know. Can you knock 3 times? Like this? Can you open the door? I'm just curious, is anyone going to be alone for an isolation session? I can't do it, but someone's better than me, I'll
I would feel more comfortable here than if we were downstairs, but
Yeah,
in the downstairs,
downstairs freaks me out a little bit.
yeah,
I don't know
that's,
why. Yeah,
more so than the church house.
yeah, that is downstairs, I follow you.
Now, did you go around the front?
No, that's the hall that leads to upstairs.
Yeah, okay, so this is still that other room that is definitely
Library.
activity.
I'll go sit in there, it's gonna cost us not really that very much.
In here?
Don't eat.
Okay, here. Alright, we'll be right here. Did you not think that one went over?
Did you love Molly? Or was it just like her possessions?
Sarah, grab my leg.
Can you say hi, Sarah? Can you say hi to us? Frank, are you in here?
What do you guys do to touch all these buttons to make them go off? I like to see the pretty colors. I know you can do it. Come on, touch it.
Sarah, make the pretty red light in the wheelchair flash. Is there anyone here?
Is it any of the patients who got operated? Are they in here?
Stuart, are you here?
I thought that. Are you one of the patients of the doctor that had died? That you died? Are you mad at the doctor? Can you sit there? Yeah, for a minute. Come get me now. Okay. Sarah, I've got two granddaughters. Her name is Olivia, the other name is Skylar. They're real pretty, and I bet you're pretty too. Can you make these lights go off, Sarah, so I can see the pretty red light? Come on, Sarah. I know you can do it, honey. I love little girls. Maybe next time I get down, I'll bring you a doll. With pretty hair and a pretty dress. Would you like that? Well, Sarah, I'm going to have to go home to Ohio in a couple days. But it sure was nice meeting you. I wish you would make that red light on the rocking chair go off. It would be so nice to say goodbye to me that way. Please do this for me. Bye, Sarah. I gotta go.
Wait.
Barbara, I want you. Yeah.
Somebody came through and said his name was Stuart.
I thought I put Stuart.
And I asked over there, I said, what's your name? I can sound like the same. But I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, there's that box in there. I don't even see it here. I think we do a little bit on the floor. And keep that in the Do a little bit
What is that here? That room is closet. Maybe.
No. They're trying to feel this isn't barely anything wrong. Can we look at it real quick?
Let's just. Are we not just on this couch or? I think it worked well when we sat down last time on the floor. What? But like, dude, I don't want to fuck around with the walls.
I feel better having a flashlight. Okay, I'm going to talk to it. Hello?
Like, what was a party like back in the day? So.
Oh wait, did you just see this wall? It just went off.
Is there something?
It went only like up one.
Hello, is there anyone in here?
Were the parties like super fun? Would we have liked a party here? Would we like to dance? What about if we like drinking? How about piano? What? Piano. Do you actually play like a seventh or something like that?
Can you guys play any note on the piano? Can you guys play a C?
Is there anybody here with us in this room?
No, they left the magnifying glass on the table with the papers. Are we supposed to look at it now?
Do you smoke something?
Like cedar?
Like cinnamon?
Yeah.
So this was the guys' room. What would you guys do in here?
It's really a locker room talk.
Locker room talk. Sorry, I'm really scared. There's like a button down there.
Is there anybody here with us right now?
Oh shit. Guys, look.
Stop.
Look at my light.
Because you can talk to me.
No, I did. Look.
No, it's not.
This is what I did before.
But you did two things you did.
I had nothing to do with it.
Wait.
It's dimming the light, look. And it had everyone aimed up at this guy. Aim the light up, that guy. In the painting. Aim it at the painting.
Are you trying to tell us?
Here, take this. It's off now, and I didn't push anything. It's blinking. Oh, come on. That's not my phone. Scare the shit out of me. It's that guy. Ask him who he is. Okay, who's that guy in the painting? I don't want to.
They were using Molly, but it came out with this really
Excuse me, guy in the painting, who are you?
Can you tell us your name? If you're here with us, can you make my flashlight dim? I have the silver flashlights.
Oh, come on.
Can you turn on the blue light flashlight?
Tell me the blue flashlight better. Can you blink the blue flashlight again? Can you please fix the blue flashlight?
Can you tell us are you in this room with us right now? Were the boys ever too raucous in this room?
You want that? Here, turn it off and like turn it back on and stuff. It's being weird and stop me. Now watch. Go put it on the table. Go put it on the table.
Okay.
And aim it at the painting.
Okay, Harvey, I feel like, oh, shh.
Okay? It's not me. No, it's not the battery.
Is that you guys telling us that you're here? I just turned on. What do you do with that?
Can you turn off the silver? Okay, it's dark in here. Can you please turn on the blue light?
Bobby, is that you?
Can you knock again? We heard you. Just one more time, one more knock.
Can you come near this? Because if you do, it'll light up and we can see you.
Just one more knock, please.
I'm so cold. What type of work did you do here? Were you a cook? Were you a foreman? Did you sew? Did you work in the stables? Were you a blacksmith? Carpenter? You got anything on?
I came back to see you. I came back to see you. You were right here. I'm standing where you were standing. Are you still here? Can you let me know? I know you saw me. I saw you. I'm cold. I'm cold. I'm cold. My hair in the way. Let me know you're here.
Can you move these doors if you're here?
Let me know you're here. Reach out my arm, touch me. Let me know. I want to know. I came back to see you. Paid $50 to see you. Cold. shake my hand.
Why are you still here at the Sorrel house?
Maybe we should do what you're suggesting, going out for me. Do that. We're good here. Are you ready to fight? What about hiding your phone? You like to play with me? We're going to count down from 10. And then we're going to start. Everybody close your eyes.
Sit on a mattress.
Okay. We'll start over here in this corner. We're going to count down from 10, and then on 1, we're going to come looking, and I hope we find you. Okay, are you ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.5, 2, 1.5. My legs chilled. 1. Here we come. Where are you?
Where'd you go, Sarah?
Where'd you go, Sarah? Somebody's got to help me look. I'm not doing it by myself. Sarah! Sarah, where are you? I can't find you. Sarah! Are you behind the wheelchair? Sarah, you back here? Sarah, are you under the table? Here, we'll look together. Sarah? No, not under the table. What about, are you under here? Sarah, we'll look together.
Near the fireplace?
Sarah?
Near the chimney.
Is that you?
No. You're not good.
Wow, Sarah, you're really good.
Can Sarah hide behind the desk? Can she fit back there?
Sarah, you can't get back there, can you? Is there space over here? Ooh, there's a little bit of space. Caleb, why don't you look for
Maybe she
Sarah?
can jump. Can she jump?
No. Sarah,
Under
did
the
you...
sofa?
Maybe. Maybe she's under the sofa.
You have to be really tiny to fit under there, Sarah. You must be really young. How old are you?
Sarah, you're a really good hider. I wish I was as good a hider as you. Caleb, why don't you go back behind the chair and see if Sarah's back there?
I'm gonna stand here and see.
Sarah, are you back there? Is that you? Is that Sarah? No. Sarah. Sarah?
Do you want to switch tactics to the British soldiers or the patients in here?
Okay, yeah, maybe the
Do you want to stick
patients.
with Sarah or what?
No, maybe the patients. I like that. I also think we should go back to that breezeway where Billy has been. All right, Sarah, maybe we'll play again later. But right now we want to talk to the patients that were in this room. And, you know, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering happened in here. If you're here, can you let us know? Can you say something? Were you in pain when you came here? Were you in pain?
Did you lose an arm or a leg? Did you like Dr. Sorrel?
Are you still in pain? Are you still in pain?
Can we help in any way?
Did you use a wheelchair when I was there?
What's with the brick? Oh! Air freshener.
how it is then.
I think. Don't trust that guy? I don't trust that guy. I like Matilda. Because I want Matilda to see.
Where's the rum bottle in here?
It's right here. It's in here. Matilda, can you please sit down on the couch? On the couch?
I think I'm attracting spirits.
Who took the musical? Oh, you did?
To attract the good energy and calm energy.
Oh, something weird.
Jake, that's why the thing in my hand is going on.
Can someone come with me here?
Jamie, do the knocking on the stairs. So you just scroll.
The temperature thing moved.
What was the rolling?
There's one upstairs in there?
What was the rolling?
What?
That rolling sound.
I don't know, I just walked.
I think you something. Cause you heard something.
I saw it for sure. The thermometer said 74. And I went in there and talked to it and it dropped to like 71. It scared the bugs out of me.
They're friendly people. They want to hang out with us. They want to party. They want to talk to us. There's no one that's going to hurt us. They're all friendly.
I want to know what they were looking at in this room.
None of this stuff is original. We should talk about this before.
Need someone?
Was the wall, is the painting on the wall the original color you guys had? I know they changed the back from the yellow. Is this more like the original wall color? If anyone's here with us, can you walk by the EMF reader?
We know someone's here with us. You let us know? We were very busy, like, working day and night, life in the family. What was it like working here? Did you like the work you did? Were you good at the work you did? Okay. Jesus. Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, thank you. Broken one, I'm missing this.
Next time I come, I'll go buy a whole package of them.
Thank you.
I will.
You don't have to, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you like Jamie?
You said yeah, right?
Yeah.
I heard it. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, I do. Alright, so this group now. You. So wait, this group first, just so I can make sure that I have everything group by group. Thank you. That's okay.
I'm not sure.
That's okay, I got it. Thank you. Thank you. Alright, now your group, last but not least. Oh, you got it all. There we go.
I think the battery is still.
Okay, I'm gonna set it aside. I'll have Devin look at it. Thank you for letting me know. Wow. Scared me. Thank you. Alright, well. Okay, how was it?
Good.
Good. Okay, one person had a good time. Alright, so for the debrief, we're going to go group by group, and you can do it however you want to. You can walk me through room by room, or you can tell me the highlights, however works best for you. We're going to go ahead and start with this group over here. Lift it out to you.
I think the highlight between all of us was the foyer again.
What happened, y'all? You were
Well,
over there for a while.
When I had the EMF meter, and I'm asking for Matilda to answer me, or did she go up and down them steps?
You said, did you run up those stairs on that fateful night?
On that fateful night.
And like all of a sudden, like all my hair stood up and a scream like came through that little.
Yeah,
And I freaked
the
out.
same place I was standing last year. Yeah, that was about the most because we didn't.
And then,
You just screen came
Yeah,
through
screen
coming
came.
in.
and then he
Oh,
has
she-
a 360
Spirit box?
camera.
Yeah, spirit box.
Spirit box. Yeah.
We got a lot
I'll
from the
see
spirit
if I
box.
have it.
Cool.
He has a 360
We
camera.
asked them
Yeah.
to hit a button on something, and all of a sudden my
Yeah,
camera
we asked
turned
it
off.
to turn the.
She asked me
I
to
asked him to
turn off the flashlight. It
flashlight,
turned his
turned his
camera
camera
off.
But you said just press the
Whoa.
button.
Just
and
press the button.
Yeah.
She right when she said just press
press
the
the
button, that went
We heard it.
and like
We
turned
heard it.
off.
They did you one better.
And also down there in
But
the
it's
basement,
never turned off again.
she asked the person's name. They said Stewart, right?
I thought I heard Stuart.
Okay.
She thought it might have.
We made a list now of all the names that we're hearing, so we'll write it down. We'll add it
I
to
asked
the
what
list.
they were cooking, and they said, oh, I think they said eat.
Oh, that's cool. Eat.
And you heard some stuff upstairs. Was the same on that
Yeah,
one?
but I didn't know if it was sound because I asked up there. I said, "Is there any other slaves in here?" And then they started answering because Samuel didn't act like he
He
wanted
didn't
to
come
talk.
through.
One of them said, I don't like you.
Yeah, he said, "I don't like you."
Really?
And they
I
asked
said,
him,
I said, "Why?"
she asked about the daughter. How many, just say, how many daughters? One.
Whoa, that's cool.
You guys remember any of the other stuff?
One.
She said,
I told them that.
I was just
thought
super
he
weirded
had
out by
water.
his when you said
Yeah.
press the button and then
Yeah.
right then
Yeah.
it goes boop,
Yeah.
and that turned off. I
It's
just think
like
that's so weird. It's never
simultaneously
turned
on
off.
his camera.
Yeah, it's never
Yeah.
turned off
Hit
ever
the
again.
button.
Yeah.
We didn't get nothing on them pods.
Yeah.
Oh, the REM pod?
Yeah.
Yeah, normally we don't. Yeah, that's exciting. They did. But normally we don't have the REM pod go off. Yeah, so that's cool. They go on a spirit box. That's really neat.
Yeah. The spirit
I
box.
was recording out of my freaked outside. Well, anything else from this group before we move
Did you
on?
remember? I mean,
That was plenty, but.
you asked a couple questions to Samuel and he did answer you.
I
Yeah.
thought,
Oh, so you
But
think
it's
he
kind
was
of
there?
hard to understand on them box. I mean,
It
they
is.
don't, they're hard.
I asked him
It
how many
is.
children he had, and I could have misunderstood. I thought he said a bunch.
I thought he said
But that-
one. I heard of one.
Heard a bunch.
Okay.
So
It is hard. Were you recording the audio?
I have a bunch of different ones.
Audio
I was gonna-
recordings?
Yeah.
Okay. So with the audio recordings, this can be a note for everybody. If I were you, I would go back whenever you want, listen through that audio. I would listen to it in a dark room by myself with over-the-ear headphones on. I would listen in for anything that I'm hearing. I would mark the time as well. If you think that you heard something strange or remarkable, you can send it to us, and we have a program that we can isolate the sound to help you find out what it is that they're saying. If it's hard for you to understand, because it is hard to hear with those spirit boxes. So
It seems like the
listen
more I
back if you
mentioned Matilda, the more active that spirit box got. Everywhere we went.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like, even in the slave corners, I would ask questions like, do you like Francis or did you like Matilda? It seemed like we got more responses when you said the name Matilda than anywhere.
That's interesting. That's noteworthy. Huh. Cool. Okay. I don't really know that Francis is here, so maybe that's why I think Matilda's here.
Well, I think the people the slaves knew Francis though, so that's what I was.
Yeah,
I was
for
getting
sure.
to that. I was kind of getting to that point, you know.
Yeah. Ask
Did
him
Francis
questions
treat
about
you
Francis,
bad?
but
But I was
good.
asking.
But they didn't like you.
They didn't like me, so.
That was the best when they turned his.
Yeah.
He said I didn't like you.
I don't like you. Okay, why?
I don't know. Interesting. Cool. Okay.
That's it for us.
That was a lot. That's great. Next group. We'll just go around the room. What happened with y'all?
I think the most notable thing that happened is we did what you suggested and we split like males and females into the different rooms upstairs.
Yeah.
And God, we were just asking all kinds of things, just talking about anything we could think of. But then, you know, we weren't getting anything. So I just simply asked, do you want us to leave the parlor? And we got back clear as day, yes.
Really? Oh, you have the audio.
Cool.
And do the audio.
See, that's why.
Would you like us to leave the parlor?
That sounded like a robotic voice, and it was louder than anything else.
It is. It sounds different.
And then I had trouble breathing like after that.
You did?
Yeah.
I would too.
Guess
I
what
don't
we
know, I
did?
was probably just scared.
Out of there.
That's not paranormal. That's just two being human beings. Yeah.
Not a fan of that.
Oh, that's cool. That's a great tactic to ask them if they want you to leave. That's a good idea. Interesting. You ran upstairs in the carriage house. What happened up there?
Oh yeah, that was a lot. Well, I thought I heard was we were trying to talk to
Molly.
Molly. Sorry, Molly. We were trying to talk to Molly, and then I heard it sounded like it came from the room, but I guess it was somebody else asking a question behind us. I thought but I didn't know that, so I was like, nope, we're done.
So you debunked it yourself.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we found
It
out
just
that was
was
false. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
tricky.
Just wondering.
Yeah, but we also felt some cold spots and like some like hair and things
Where were we
in the basement.
Yeah, I got touched too.
Yeah.
Where was that? In what room?
Standing behind the table where the, I guess you want to call the breezeway.
Yeah.
The table that's right there, standing right in between the fireplace and the end of the table. With my
Okay.
back turned. And it was all up and down the left side. And he got the same sensation further out into that room.
Yeah, closer to where the two rooms are, the two doorways in between that area. Sort of where I saw that shadow before. Yeah, it was like, but it was just all of a sudden. That,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
the
And
coldness.
it's hot down there. It is weird.
I was down there.
Upstairs, you reach-
Yeah, I was about to say, I was standing right next to her, and she got the cold sensation on her left side. I was like right here. I didn't feel that, but when he was in Molly's room sitting on the floor, I reached my hand down and I could feel like a cool breeze. Like, it was not cool up there.
No, it's not.
I tried
It's
to
real
sit on
hot
the
there.
floor, like I thought, you mentioned that she might not have any furniture, so I tried to sit on the floor and we were just trying to talk, and it almost felt like she was sitting next to me, like it was cold there, and I don't know, it was really.
No, I know what you mean though, but there are sometimes when you just kind of walk into a room and you're like, there's someone here. You just
Yeah.
kind of know that there's somebody with you and you don't really know how to explain it. And
Yeah.
you're probably right. I would listen to that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It wasn't scary, it was just.
Right.
felt
No,
like she
I,
was just there.
yeah, it shouldn't be scary. No one's trying to hurt you or anything in
They don't
this
like
house,
me.
so. Yeah. He's still
That's hard to
offended.
believe.
He's everybody away.
I took lots of
Wow.
pictures everywhere.
Good.
I didn't catch. I've already been through them. I didn't catch anything. The only thing that is weird is when we were in the women's parlor, we sat down next to some toys. I put some gummy candy down there and all that. And we had the flashlight, and I was just taking pictures, and I got that.
Oh, that's
that could easily
strange.
be something weird that my phone's never done it before.
Well,
Ever.
just as I explained that the spirit box is an established energy source, your phone is the exact same thing. And it's a lot easier for them to communicate with you through your phone or through some sort of technology. So it could be paranormal, especially if that doesn't happen to your phone normally.
Yeah, I've never taken a picture of white.
Yeah, it could be that they were able to
It doesn't even
manipulate
look
your
it's a
phone for a
white
second.
space that I'm photographing. It's just like
No, yeah. It is weird. It definitely could be paranormal. Paranormal's not an exact science. I can't ever tell you that's
it's just not
paranormal.
normal.
Yeah, but it's not normal. We can't quite explain it, so I call it paranormal for now. Cool, especially the cool feelings that you were getting, that everybody was getting, and it's interesting that you had it on your left side. I have a lot of people who walk into the surgery room and feel that. They tell me that they can't feel their left half, their right leg, their toes, and I attribute that with the amputations in that room. And then also those British officers, I think I said this on your tour tonight, the British officers were blown up by a cannonball from the French Haitians from Madison Square. So it would kind of make sense that you would not feel part of your body. So that's just sort of where my brain is attributing with that. So that's really interesting, especially because it's really hot down there.
Yeah,
So.
that's why I was like, it's cold and it's not normal. So I was like walking around down there like, literally doing
Right.
that. I was like, oh, okay. I'm
Interesting.
gonna walk away.
Somebody was with you. Yeah. Cool. All right. What else from this group? Anything else? Again, that was plenty. A lot. Cool. Okay. Last but not least, group of 4. What's it out to you? You had a lot of stuff going on.
We
Equipment.
didn't know what we were looking for, but the thing went, the colors, like, almost one way in the basement and upstairs.
The K2 spike.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
went 2 times in the basement.
Twice in a row?
No, like
Or-
2 different places.
That's
And then
so
upstairs
cool.
was that thing with the,
Yeah, the
yeah, that was.
Were you asking anything specific when you had the K2 spike?
We
Or
were.
talking about anything?
We were in the operation room and we were trying to talk to Sarah.
Yeah.
So we were trying to play hide and seek with her.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that's when it was doing it. And then I felt a brush, like you said, like a spider web, like a hair.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
She just
And then you
bites
can't
her.
find anything there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know, it's really weird. Cool. Okay, so you were trying to reach out to Sarah and you had the K2 spike. That's really neat. Yeah, they asked me about it and they were like, yeah, but we couldn't get it to do it again. But like, it's rare that it goes off. I told them that I haven't had the EMF meter go off when I've investigated before. Nobody else had the EMF meter go off tonight. That's a big deal. Yeah. And then the REM pod upstairs went off. Do you want to tell them about that, or have you heard it?
You guys were there.
We were walking away.
I sat there the whole time. We were just talking to the Molly, asking her about what's going on. What did you say?
I don't know what we
She's
said.
mad at you.
Yeah, no, she didn't like us at all.
No,
we, were,
she was fine with me and Alyssa. You're the problem.
we went in the women's lounge. I guess I went in there.
No, we're talking about Molly.
Oh, where's
We were
that?
up here. We were up here when the pond went
I
off.
didn't like that.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so
We were fine.
we were just kind of asking what happened to her. I asked over and over, and
You probably
she was
annoyed
with
the
me.
shit out of her.
I know it. I guess I got her. And then she left, and then just for like half a second, the thing went green. It freaked me out, and I was like 8 feet away from it. So then I went and got somebody else to be like,
She was sitting on the floor in Molly's room too, and like you said, when you thought you were walking away, you were told to leave the room. She was still there. She was getting up. Yeah, me and her were walking down the steps. He was not.
You were leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was literally still.
He was still standing up, and he wasn't even in that room. He was more near the bunk bed. So
He had already left.
It just booped.
Yeah.
Almost
I
like,
heard it.
Yeah. Almost like she didn't want us to leave, or like she was like happy that we were leaving.
Yeah,
I can't tell.
bye.
yes,
Yeah.
get out of here.
Pushing us.
That's crazy that you had the REM pod go off, though. I'm really excited about that. Even if it's just one green light, again, that is still a big deal.
Yeah, no, it was pretty green too. So it's like,
That's
it's gonna be
really
pretty
neat.
bad.
Wow.
It's fun that the other night too.
I know. When was that? Friday night, we had all 3 groups had REM pod activity in the carriage house. That was
It's all that
Crazy.
jewelry they got on.
surprised by that. It is. I don't know.
I got a question.
Everyone?
Yeah, sure.
Is there electrical storm? Does it spike the spike it?
If there's an electrical
Yeah,
storm?
like the energy in this. Yeah.
Yeah, so when we have a change in weather, even if it's like foggy or anything, but especially if it rains, it tends to stir up the energy of the house, and we've found that the house becomes more active when it's changing weather or when there's a storm, definitely. Yeah.
You need to tell her about smelling the cigarette.
I forgot.
Oh yeah,
I
she smelled the
cigars.
cigar.
So in the basement,
She smelled the
Like an
cigar.
electric-
Yeah.
And I got touched on top of the head.
you
Yeah,
did
you're about to be out.
in the basement too?
Yeah.
Okay, you smell cigar smoke. Interesting. Yeah, that's usually the way it happens. Is it's kind of gone as quickly as it comes, and you're like, wait, come back. You know, you're trying to find it again, but it's like someone walked in front of you or something. Interesting. Okay, cool. I never mentioned the cigar smoke on the investigations because I want to see if anybody picks up on it. That's pretty cool.
Good too.
Nice. Yeah, it happens a lot. People smell it in the gentleman's parlor room very often. Yeah, very often in the gentleman's parlor, but I have heard it in the lower level as well. So, interesting. Cool. Nice. I'm glad. Yeah, did everybody have a good time? Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Good. Yay. It was a really active night, and even if it's not an active night, you still get to investigate in a haunted house in the dark in the middle of the night. So I think it's a pretty cool event, and I'm very glad that y'all booked it tonight and that you came, and I really hope to have you back. Just so you know, the majority of your ticket sale when you purchase this investigation tonight, it goes to the restoration of this property. This is a huge historic home preservation project. They were here 2 years ago. They know that it looks different than it did 2 years ago. We're working every day to restore this home. Thank you for contributing to that. We really appreciate it, and we do hope to have you back again. I'm going to give everybody business cards, or I'm going to just set it down here. No pressure. You can grab them if you want to. This has our email address on it. If you want to send us any of the footage that you captured here tonight, if you find anything strange or remarkable, we'd be happy to see it. If you want a second opinion on any of it, just make sure to ask us, and we'll get back to you. We'll let you know what we think. Even if though you looked through your photos already, blow your photos up on your computer. Zoom in. Increase the brightness. That's a big one. There's often things that people miss. So definitely take the time to look through your evidence whenever you have time to do so, and send it to us if you find anything. Our website is on here, our social media is on here. You can check out archival footage, EVPs, live photos captured by guests and by staff, so much to check out. Our TripAdvisor is also listed on here, and reviews help a lot with this business. So thank you very much again. I will let you go home, get into the AC if you want to. I can still play that DVD for you. But I'm going to unlock the gate for you, and you're welcome to go to.
Nice to meet you, Jeremy and Kate. Had fun.
Good time.
Yeah.
Wait, we did have some weird stuff in the back. Some weird stuff. I mostly had sensations, like the cold and the hair.
I was having so many sensations, I don't know what to say. However you want to read it.
And his like hair being tickled and everything.
I'm feeling it. I mean, I'm just
goosebumps.
They don't like me.
It was fun.
That was fun. Nice
Yeah.
to meet you.
Nice to
Nice
meet
to
you
meet you guys.
They told me that she's gonna ghost hunter just before she